This presentation is called Looking In, Looking Out, Redefining Childcare and Early Education in a Diverse Society. In this presentation, we will be talking about 5 principles for multiracial, multi-ethnic, multilingual quality care. The first principle is to combat racism and foster positive racial identity in young children. And we're going to be giving 5 different strategies. The first strategy is to create an environment which reflects positive images of different racial groups. Then look inward. Watch for unintentional ways that one's own actions, beliefs, or words can promote bias. Then interact and intervene with children to promote positive racial identity and counteract racial prejudice. Use hiring practices to promote the goals of positive racial self-identity and appreciation of racial differences among children. Then the final strategy is to be aware of the message sent by grouping children and its power to promote either racial understanding or stereotyping among young children. The second principle is to build upon the cultures of families and promote respect and cross-cultural understanding among children. The first strategy is to use program activities to validate the cultural backgrounds of children and to promote cross-cultural understanding and respect. Strategy 2 is to understand how culture influences your approach to caring for children. Then use community resources to find out about the cultural practices and belief of families. Next, hire and draw upon the knowledge of staff from the cultures of the children and families served. And then finally, work with family members to ensure that the provider and the program take into account the cultural practices and beliefs of the families. The third principle is to preserve children's family languages and encourage all children to learn a second language. The most recent evidence suggests that support for the home language during the pre-kindergarten years will help, not hurt long-term attainment in English. Young children can learn nursery rhymes, songs, extended vocabulary, and early literacy skills in English and their home language with adult support. Dual language learner children who receive systematic learning opportunities in their home language during the early years consistently outperform those who attend English-only programs on measures of academic achievement in English during the middle and high school years. And this is from the National Center on Cultural and Linguistic Responsiveness. So the first strategy is to make sure that we validate languages in the care setting. If able, hire staff that speak the home language of children from language minority families. Next is to use flexible grouping approaches with children to fully expose them to their home language and possibly help them begin to learn a second language. And finally, encourage parents to support the development of the primary language. Another principle is to work in partnership with parents to respond to issues of race, language, and culture. We need to clearly articulate and orient parents to the focus and intent of the program around issues of diversity. Use intake and orientation procedures to exchange information about race, language, and culture. Encourage forms of daily contact which allow for information exchange. Increase understanding by encouraging parents to spend time in the care setting. Use parent conferences and goal setting for individual children to ensure that issues of language, race, and culture are being effectively addressed for each child. And strategy 6 is to involve parents in decision making to ensure the program as a whole recognizes and addresses issues of diversity. Principle 5 is to engage in dialogue and reflection about race, language, and culture on an ongoing basis. You can create activities to engage people in discussions, allowing them to share life stories, videos, reading material, anecdotes for the classroom, role play, and questions of the week. And make sure that you provide appropriate facilitation. Create the time and opportunity for reflection and discussion to take place, and include diverse perspectives in your processes. So those are some of the things that you can do to create or actually redefine childcare and early education in a diverse society, and also in your early care and education program.